ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلوات الله وسلامه عليه أما بعد. Today, inshallah, instead of doing the Nabi al-Rahmah, we're going to do Usul Sunnah because the youngsters who come for Usul Sunnah on Tuesday are not going to be here. And this Tuesday, we want to do more of the Usul Sunnah. But we wanted to get this one in because it was probably one of the most important fundamentals of the Sunnah. One of the most important. And we get more people today than we do on Tuesday. So we wanted more people to hear today's talk. So it's not going to be about the Nabi al-Rahmah directly, although it is connected to that. It's about the book that we're explaining of an Imam Ahmed on Tuesday called Usul As-Sunnah, the fundamentals or the foundations of the Sunnah. We already started the book, I think it was last week or the one before that, where we did the introduction. But as I said, today's talk is one of the most important usul of the Sunnah. One of the most important. I won't dare venture to say it is the most important, but it is definitely one of the most important. It is a fundamental and a principle and a concept that Mark, the new Muslim, he has to understand. If you want to be a Muslim, this is something you have to be upon. You have to grasp, you have to practice it and be upon it. Today's Usul from the Usul Sunnah, the first one, is what Imam Ahmed said. He said that the Usul Sunnah with us is that we hold on to what the companions of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam radiyallahu anhum, what they were upon and what they held on to, and we follow them. التمسك بما كان عليه أصحاب النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم والاقتداء بهم. That as Muslims, and Imam Ahmed is speaking for a group of people. There are many, many Muslims with different understandings. But the Muslims who Imam Ahmed wrote this book for, the whole Ummah, the people who follow what he's talking about, he said the foundation of Al-Islam, the Sunnah, is that as a Muslim, as a community, as an Ummah, we have to be upon what the companions were upon, what they did, and we have to hold on to that. I look at the audience, we get all kinds of different people in front of us. We have people from Guyana, people from Trinidad, people who reverse, people who are from Africa, West Africa, from Pakistan. And if you go to these different countries of the Muslims, wherever you go in the Muslim world, you'll find a particular flavor of Al-Islam that everybody is bringing. The question that has to be put on the table and asked is, were the companions doing that thing that you're doing, your country, your family, your masjid, your imam, you as an individual, were the companions doing those things that you're doing? Those things meaning what you believed, your theology, what you believe. Are they praying like you, fasting like you, making hajj like you, umrah like you? The challenges that present themselves to us. Did the companions, may Allah be pleased with them, tackle those problems, handle those problems in the way we're handling them, the way they looked at things? This is what this particular issue is about. I don't want to say it's the most important of what Imam Ahmed wrote. As you're going to see, some are really, really, really important because they're connected with Allah's speech and the that of Allah, Allah Himself. But in terms of importance, The Muslim is not worth his weight in salt. Salt is here, and it is his, his weight, the sum total of his weight. That's salt. He's over here. If he doesn't understand this, he doesn't buy into it, he's not worth his weight in salt. The salt is more expensive and heavier in the scales. This is imperative. And those people who understand what I'm saying, we have a responsibility. We have a responsibility to do everything that we possibly can to help people around us to understand this, and not to treat people who are around us the way they treat us. And that is al-hizbiyya. Kullu hizbin bima ladayhim farihun. Every group of Muslims is happy with what they're doing. So we treat people who are not from our group in a way where we're not trying to help them to come close to what we're doing. So my group, if I'm from Jamaat Tabligh and you're not from Jamaat Tabligh, I'm going to treat you a particular way, different from the ones from Jamaat Tabligh. If I'm Sufi and you're not Sufi, I'm going to treat you a different way. If I'm from the Ikhwan Muslimin and you're not from the Ikhwan Muslimin, I'm going to treat you a different way. All of these groups that the Muslims made for themselves. And this is why Imam Ahmed wrote this book, to advise all of the Muslims. Leave that stuff. Leave all of that. And come to this first point that he mentioned. And it's wisdom in what he said. Now, what I just said when I mentioned those groups, there are some people who get uncomfortable by the mere mentioning of those groups, although I didn't say anything bad about those groups. I didn't say anything bad about any of the groups that the Muslims have. Nothing. I'm just making a point. But it's a sensitive issue when it shouldn't be sensitive. Because every Muslim who's worth his weight in salt should not have a problem with, I want to do what Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, Ali, and the rest of those companions did. May Allah be pleased with them. So the Usul of the Sunnah with us. We're going to start with that. What did Imam Ahmed, and who did he mean when he said the fundamentals and the foundations of the Sunnah with us? Who was he talking about when he said that? Because this is really important. Because if you know who he's talking about, it eliminates everybody else. With us, he's talking about the people who, the Muslims who, they're the people who exalt the actual Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They exalt and they make big the purity and the risala that's unadulterated, uncontaminated, that the Prophet brought sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There's no one sitting here, no one, except that everybody is falling short. Falling short. Doesn't mean the person is perfect, but he knows that the template is perfect. Meaning that the Nabi of Islam, when he came, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he started calling people to Islam, and they came into Islam, they are the template of and for success. They were the best example for this ummah. And as time moved on after them, the ummah Islam became weaker and weaker and weaker until we get to this point where we are right now, where Islam is the weakest that it's ever been in terms of comparing it to when it first started. So Imam Ahmed is talking about the people who, the scholars of Islam, that gave them some names. Now, I don't want you to get bent out of shape because they say, what's in a name? The proof is in the pudding. That's what they say. The proof is in the pudding. Someone can say, look at this cake, it really tastes good. But until you taste that cake, you really don't know. Once you taste the cake, then you realize it's good, it's not good. Kalam is important. Singing things is important. It is important. You have to say the shahada. You have to tell people, I love you. You have to defend yourself. But actions speak louder than words in Islam. So when he said, Asulu Sunnah indana, the Asul of the Sunnah, fundamentals of Sunnah with us, who are those with us that Imam Ahmed is referring to? He's referring to those four Imams who all of the Muslims respect. And Imam Ahmed himself, Abu Hanifa, Malik, Imam Shafi. He's referring to those four. That there's Usul of the Sunnah to us. Those four Imams and other Imams during their time is what we're getting ready to share. But even before that, because the four of them were following the template. The Usul of the Sunnah with us here is talking about the people who were known as Ahlul Hadith. Ahlul Hadith, the people who practice the Hadith. Al-Imam Abu Hanifa, I'm saying, is from Ahlul Hadith because he told the people, if the Hadith is authentic, then that's my madhab. That's what he said. If the Hadith is authentic, then that is my madhab. I'm not going to get into the details of Al-Imam Abu Hanifa's and his, intricate details because there's some issues, no doubt about that. But overall, Imam Abu Hanifa is a scholar of the Sunnah and a scholar of the Hadith by virtues of those words. Ahlul Hadith, the Firqat al-Najiyah, which is the saved sect, the At-Ta'if al-Mansura, which is the victorious sect as well, Ahlul Sunnah, all of them are synonyms. They're not different groups. If you say, I'm a Muslim and I am a mu'min, inshallah, and I'm a Muslim, inshallah, doesn't mean I have different religions. You're one and the same in that the origin of what you are, you're a Muslim. So these people that Imam Ahmed is referring to, all of these descriptions and superlatives come from the Hadith. Ahlul Sunnah, Ahlul Hadith, Al-Firqat al-Najiyah, the saved sect, At-Ta'if al-Mansura, the victorious group. All of those come from words that the Prophet used, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So Imam Ahmed is referring to this. Before moving on, I want to be from Ahlul Sunnah. I want to be from the Firqat al-Najiyah. I want to be from the Ta'ifa al-Mansura. But it is not permissible for me to walk around and to exist amongst the Muslims and Allah's creation as if I'm better than everyone and I'm putting people down. I will not bite my tongue. Me, Abu Sam, I can't speak for anybody else. I will not bite my tongue as it relates to Jews and Christians and atheists and agnostics. And I'm going to say, the religion that I'm on is right and what you're doing is wrong. You're going in a hellfire. But I'm not going to say that and just treat people nasty. But I won't have any doubt as it relates to non-Muslims. And I don't take that position because they do it to us. They do it to us, but the proof is in the pudding. They're just talking nonsense. It's just mere claims and desires on their part. When they say Muslims are going to hellfire and they're going to the paradise, that's just nonsense. That's kalam. So as it relates to non-Muslims, we're not going to apologize about that. Their religion is false. Al-Islam came and abrogated that stuff. As a Muslim, I know every Muslim is not understanding this religion. Today I went to Abna Bazaar. When I went to Abna Bazaar and I was walking up and down the aisle with my family, in Abna Bazaar, you can't really tell, for the most part, who's a Muslim. Meaning what? The way that people were, just looking, the way that people, I'm not putting anyone down. I'm saying as a Muslim, that's my observation. You can't really tell. So now, Ahlul Sunnah, Ahlul Hadith, Al-Firqat al-Najiyah. If I go through Abna Bazaar and I'm treating people and I'm looking at people, how would they ever come to know? How would they? So these superlatives, Ahlul Hadith, Ahlul Sunnah, they should not be weaponized by people who understand its importance. Don't weaponize that. Don't weaponize it. Because if you look at the condition of our ummah for many reasons, they don't know and they don't appreciate what we're seeing right now is your responsibility. It's my responsibility. People understand the importance of this to take it easy and relay the message to people in the best way possible. So, Ahlul Hadith, listen. The hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there will not cease to be a group of people from our ummah who will be victorious. They will remain victorious until the affair of Allah comes. Yawm al-Qiyamah. Al-Imam al-Bukhari, he said, they're Ahlul Hadith. Al-Imam Abdullah ibn Mubarak, they're Ahlul Hadith. Al-Imam Ali al-Madini said, they're Ahlul Hadith. Al-Imam Ahmed said, if they are not Ahlul Hadith, I don't know who they are. Meaning, what they understand, how they approach in Islam, how they practice in Islam. So I can't emphasize enough here today. When I mention Abna Bazaar, I don't mean to put them down. Abna Bazaar doesn't have anything to do with what I'm saying. Leave Abna Bazaar. Go to Walmart, you go here, and you can't tell who the Muslim is. You can't tell. Many times you just can't look and tell this is the Muslim man, this is the Muslim woman, because this is how our ummah is today. Why am I mentioning that? I'm mentioning that to say, if Allah has blessed you, He blessed you, gifted you to understand the way of the people that Imam Ahmed is referring to, if you understand that and you embrace that, take it easy with our community. Take it easy with young people. Take it easy with our family members. Take it easy with people from other masajid, other people from other maslaks, because it's the condition. And a lot could be said about that, but moving forward, more will come out. So Imam Ahmed is talking about this group of people. He's not talking about people on Sufia or Sunnah with us. He's not talking about them. He's not talking about the Ikhwan Muslimin. He's not talking about the people who curse the companions. How could he be talking about the people who curse the companions when the very first issue he mentioned was from the fundamentals of the Sunnah? The very first one is taking what the companions were upon. So if there are a group of people who come and curse the companions, he's definitely not talking about them. He's definitely not talking about them. Now, when I say what I'm saying, is sensitive to some people. And that sensitivity causes me to try to be as careful as I can be. But the truth is the truth. Gotta let the chips fall where they may. We can't placate the situation because it is serious. It is serious. It is serious in that we'll continue as an ummah and individuals to get a lot of challenges. And if we're not understanding the religion the right way, we'll just continue to drown in confusion, compounded confusion. And Imam Ahmed said, the Sunnah with us. The Sunnah here, Ikhwani, is important that we explain because we're Muslims. So we have the Quran and we have the Sunnah. Every Muslim, again, who's worth his weight in salt, this is a word he has to have some kind of understanding concerning the Sunnah. But if you would have asked a Muslim who's in Walmart randomly, what is the Sunnah? You may not get a consistent answer from everyone. Some people may not even know what the Sunnah is. What are you referring to in your question? So if you're worth your weight in salt, the Sunnah in the Arabic language, it just means a way, a path, a tariqah, the path of something. It could be good, it could be bad. The Sunnah, the tariqah masluka, it's just a way. It could be bad, it could be good. The linguistic meaning, your path. The Prophet said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and many authentic hadith, many. Anyone who introduces a path, who introduces a sunnah, a path, a way that is not from my way, will be rejected. The linguistic meaning. And Imam Ahmed is not talking about that. What he's talking about is the technical meaning. And even the technical meaning is not what many people may think. The sunnah to those people were the fuqaha, the jurists of al-Islam. You know, the ones who talk about halal and haram, the faqih. this halal, this haram. Because the sunnah to them, you got to know who's talking. We're not even going to get into that. And Imam Ahmed, when he said the sunnah with us, he's talking about the aqidah, the theology, the belief system of those people who I mentioned earlier. The sunnah with us, the aqidah of al-Islam, the correct aqidah of those companions. What did they believe? Today is Mother's Day. Today is Mother's Day. I didn't even know it was Mother's Day until I left the store and people said Happy Mother's Day. You know who told me that? Muslims said Happy Mother's Day. Muslims told me that. I didn't even know it was Mother's Day. Not because I'm better than them, but now the question is, did the companions of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam practice that? Now, if people were upon this first point, we would know how to look at the Mother's Day issue. And even if I was a new Muslim, a brand new Muslim, like Mark is a new Muslim, and someone comes and tells him, listen, the companions are the blueprint and the template for success. The issue of Mother's Day right here, they didn't practice it. The person didn't know that. He says, well, the companions didn't do it, then that's how the Muslim has to be. That's how. In Muslim countries, like Bangladesh, like Pakistan, almost every Muslim country, Mother's Day is being practiced. And if the child does not call or acknowledge the Muslim mother today, the mother will say, you're disrespecting me. You don't love me. So it's just compounded confusion. So Al-Imam Ahmed, rahimahullah ta'ala, when he said Usul Sunnah, the Sunnah, the foundation, the fundamentals of the Sunnah, the aqidah, the theology, and the minhaj, the path of what those companions were upon, that's what he's referring to. And the reason why he said that, and the reason why it's important, is because Allah has revealed not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Allah has revealed multiple ayat of the Quran telling Muslims to do this. He revealed in that Quran verses of the Quran commanding us. He commanded us to pray, commanded us to fast, commanded us to make Hajj and Umrah, commanded us to obey our parents, commanded us to be clean, commanded us to have sabr. He commanded us with many things. He commanded us to follow and to practice the ways of those companions. He commanded. He didn't leave it up to people to have a choice. So I want to share a few of those ayat with you. And they're easy. They're not difficult to comprehend. They're not understood in multiple ways. They're very clear, direct, and to the point. Not complicated. This is a fundamental issue in our religion. There are some issues in Islam that can be a bit complicated. Like when we talked about the Sunnah, you have the fuqaha, the faqih. The Sunnah to him is something. And then we have the people of al-Usul, the Usuliyun. And Usul fiqh, things can become complicated. That's not a science for every Amr, Bakr, and Zayd for a beginner, for the most part. These ayat are not like that. These ayat and verses are clear. First ayat is an ayat that everybody here knows. And that is that Allah told us to say in Surah Al-Fatiha, Ihdina Sirat al-Mustaqim. Guide us to the Sirat al-Mustaqim. You go back and you read what the scholars said, the meaning of that ayat was. They give different interpretations. One of the interpretations of the Sirat al-Mustaqim that we ask Allah to guide us on, the middle path, is that the scholar said, the path of Abu Bakr and Umar. That is a tafsir of that ayah. Guide us to the path that Abu Bakr and Umar were. It has other meanings. Guide us to the path of sincerity. Guide us to the path of a tawheed. Guide us to the path of the balance, al-i'tidal, in the middle. It's all of that. Guide us to the path. All of that. It can mean all of that. One of the meanings is guide us to the path that Abu Bakr and Umar upon, that middle path in everything that they understood and everything that they did. That's a verse of the Quran. Would you know that many Muslims don't even know or not have even heard, although we read Surah Al-Fatiha, many Muslims don't know that that's one of the tafsirs and the meaning of that ayah. And I want you brothers to remember that. Guide us to the path of Allah. Guide us to the path that Abu Bakr and Umar were. Why Abu Bakr and Umar? Because they were the two greatest companions who the lady came and said, Ya Rasulullah, if I come and I need something from you and you're not here, who should I go to? Meaning, if you are dead, if you died, if you're not here, or maybe you're not in Medina, you went to Hajj, Umrah, Jihad. But she was referring to if you died and you're not here, who should I go to? He said to that lady, iqtadi billadhayni min ba'di, bi Abi Bakr and Umar. Then follow the two people who come after you, Abu Bakr and Umar, the Sirat al-Mustaqim. So the two of them were mentioned because they're the best of the companions. But they're representing the whole group of companions, the whole group. Another verse, guys, remember that. Surah Al-Fatiha is a surah in this ayah telling the Muslim, follow the way of the companions. That's the meaning of Surah Al-Fatiha, this particular ayah. Another ayah, which is clear, no ambiguity. It doesn't have multiple meanings to it. It's meaning one thing that's straight and direct. والسابقون الأولون من المهاجرين والأنصار والذين اتبعوهم بإحسان رضي الله عنهم ورضوا عنه. Allah said the vanguard of Islam, the first Muslims, the Sabiqun al-Awwalun, those first Muslims, who are they? Abu Bakr and Umar, Uthman and Ali, those first Muslims, and those who followed them with ihsan. Allah is pleased with them, and they'll be pleased with Allah Azza wa Jalla. So Allah specifically mentioned those companions, first and foremost. And those people who follow them with ihsan, they'll get the same reward. Allah will be pleased with them. Those people who came after them, from the second generation, the third generation, all the way down to right now. Every Muslim, mark every Muslim. Being a person who's traveled a lot, and I've been to Africa. And I've seen Muslims roll chicken bones. I've seen Muslims go to witch doctors. I've seen Muslims go to soothsayers. I've seen Muslims who worship and make dua to people in the grave, slaughter for other than Allah. This is not only for Africans, but this is what I've seen. And I said, when I see that, what is so difficult? What is so difficult about just following that ayah? Don't become upset. Don't become angry. The person is not from your group, whatever your group is. All of those groups, all of those groups. I don't know any single group of Muslims from the many groups who theoretically would have a problem with the companions, with the exception of the Rafid, the people from Iran and Iraq and those people. That's the only group who I know who hate the companions. That's the only group. Put them on the side. All of the other groups in Islam, you said to everyone, do you love the companions? They're going to say yes. Is the strongest Muslim the companion? He's going to say yes. Then let's follow. I was talking to a brother in our masjid right now about an individual who helped me to be guided in Islam. And he helped me to get guided because when I was a new Muslim, I was with some extremely ignorant African American Muslims. They were extremely ignorant. After being in the nation of Islam, they became real Muslims, but they still had some things in their head that just wasn't right. And there was a speaker who was with them, and he broke off from them, And he used to say, after breaking off from them and then breaking off from the next group, he said, we want the Quran and the Sunnah, Sahih Bukhari and Muslim. And that's what I needed to hear. I said, this is one, yes, this is beautiful. But then when I went and I studied, I realized he left off an integral part of the equation. He left off the Quran and the Sunnah according to the understanding of those companions. The Sabiqeen al-Awwalin. So that's the second ayah. Guide us to the straight path. Abu Bakr and Umar. This ayah, those vanguard, the beginning Muslims, Allah is pleased with them. And he's also pleased with the people who follow them with ihsan. This is really important. Meaning what? Now we're going to follow those companions as a group, but we're not going to follow the individual companion when he makes a mistake. We're not going to follow any individual companion when he makes a mistake. Not Abu Bakr, not Umar, not Uthman, not Ali. We're not going to follow any individual. So there were companions who made mistakes because they were human beings. And when we say the mistakes of the companions, we don't mention the mistakes of the companion in order to put them down, to take away from them. We have to be careful about doing that. But we mention their mistakes because in that is a lesson. You need to understand. You need to understand. There was a companion who, for an example, he did this or he did that. We're not going to follow him that thing that he made a mistake in. But as a group, now following one companion, it is permissible to follow one. But we're going to come to that another time. Shall come to that. The third ayah that we want to mention, the third ayah. Allah commanded us in the Quran and he said to us, that ayah again. Yeah, that's the next one. That's not the one I'm looking for. الذين سبقونا بالإيمان والذين جاءوا من بعدهم يقولون ربنا اغفر لنا ولإخواننا الذين سبقونا بالإيمان. Those people who came later on, like us, they make the dua to Allah and they say to Allah, oh Allah, forgive us and forgive those people who have preceded us in Iman. Who preceded us in Iman? First and foremost, those companions. They preceded us in Iman. Also, your mother and your father and your elders. But primarily, I is referring first and foremost to those companions. And because of this, those scholars like Imam Ahmed and the ones who came before, they said, anyone who harbors in his heart any rancor, any ill will towards those companions, something's wrong. وَلَا تَجْعَلْ فِي قُلُوبِنَا غِلًّا لِلَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. Don't make in our hearts any animosity towards those people who preceded us in Al-Islam. First and foremost, those companions. As a revert Muslim, I come into Al-Islam, I'm a revert. And there are people who preceded me to Al-Islam. I don't care if I studied in Medina and I'm the Imam here. Those people who preceded me to Al-Islam from the Muslims who are around me, I have to respect those people. Because that's what Allah commanded us to do. Now, if I'm going to respect those people, and that is binding upon me, as I give dawah, I have to respect those people and take it easy. Give them dawah in a way that shows respect. If I'm going to respect them, then definitely I respect those companions even more. That's the third ayah. Fourth ayah is what Abu Sa'd mentioned. Clear, straight, direct to the point. Allah mentioned in the Quran, telling Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, فَإِنْ آمَنُوا بِمِثْلِ مَا آمَنْتُمْ بِهِ فَقَدْ اهْتَدَوْا. Ya Muhammad, if those non-Muslims, if the people believe the way you and your companions, Allah didn't just say the way you believe, Muhammad. He said, if the people believe the way you and your companions believe, then those people will be guided aright. And if the people don't believe the way you and your companions believe, then they're not guided aright. It's as simple as that. And then we ask that question, did the companions do that thing? Did they talk bad about the leaders like that? Did the companions pass takfir judgment on people like that, wholesale? Did the companions make tabdi of people like that, wholesale? Did the companions do the mawlid? Did the companions believe Rasulullah was Hazir Nazir? You guys know what Hazir Nazir is, right? Some of the Muslims believe that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is omnipresent. He's with us now. He's in Peking, China. He's in Mogadishu in Somalia. He's in Cairo. He's in New York City, Harlem, Brooklyn. He's everywhere, sitting with us, listening all the time. He didn't die. He knows the unseen. We say, okay, man, you learned that. You learned that. No problem. Show me where that is. Now, someone, he can bring you an ayah and he can bring you a hadith to support that, to support anything. And that's why the third issue is important. The Quran and the Sunnah, the way the companions understood it. Because the groups, they use the Quran and the Sunnah to support everything that they're doing. Everything that they're doing, every group is using the Quran and the Sunnah to support khuruj, takfir, tabdi', hating the companions, every group. Aisha was the wife of the Nabi of Islam, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Shia used Surah Al-Baqarah to prove Aisha is a bad lady. Can you imagine that? When they asked Rasulullah, who's the most beloved person to you? He said, Aisha. They said, no, that's your wife. He said, her father. But these people come and say, no. Allah said, Inna Allah ya'murukum in tadbahu baqarah. Allah orders Bani Israel to slaughter a cow. They said Aisha is the cow and they should slaughter Aisha. And they use this ayah to prove that. Every group you can imagine uses the Quran and the Sunnah. The nation of Islam used the Quran to show the white man is a devil. Because Allah will raise the people up, Yawm al-Qiyamah, zarqa. Their eyes will be blue. He says, blue-eyed white man is the devil. They're going to be in hell. That's what he believed. Every group. We say, no. What did the companions understand concerning that ayah or concerning that issue? And this is why this is a divine protection. As for the Sunnah of the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and there are many proofs from the Sunnah. I'll only deal with a few. How many do we have? How much time we have, inshallah? Before the Adhan. Listen to what our Nabi said. He said that the Jews, they broke off into 71 sects, and the Christians broke off into 72 sects, and my ummah is going to break up into 73 different sects. All of those groups that the Muslims broke up into will be in the hellfire. All of them except one. The companion said, which one is that? He said, the one that is doing what I'm doing today and my companions. That kalam is so clear. Every group. So I'm a revert, and many of us are just regular people. You'll meet different people. And they have flowery speech, and they have a lot, they wow you with their kalam. They say, okay, listen, I'm a new Muslim, man. I don't know much, but just show me where those companions did that. And wallahi, I'm going to do it. Show me. And Imam Ahmed had a statement I want to mention to you guys, and you have to remember this statement. It's not in his book, but it's from his statements. He said to his son, Abdullah, Iyaka, thumma iyaka. And تذهب مذهبا ليس لك فيه إمام. Beware. Never take an opinion about something that you don't have an imam who has preceded you to that opinion. An imam is not talking about the imam in your local masjid. It's talking about like a great scholar And that is not talking about an imam who took a position that is a weird position. No, it's telling you, as regular people, we should not be doing things, understanding things, practicing things that just came as a result of your individual ijtihad. You got to be able to reference that thing back and say, so and so was on this opinion. This scholar and that scholar was on that opinion. Avoiding taking, abnormalities, some mistakes that some scholars make. Again, I was talking to a brother who's in our Majlis, and I made a statement to the brother that the companions, some of them fell into shirk. They had made shirk. The brother said, don't say that. They made mistakes. And I liked what he said, because he was trying to safeguard the position of the companions. He was trying to safeguard, and that's how we have to be. He was trying to safeguard. I wasn't saying that to throw dirt on them. No, I wasn't trying to throw dirt on them. The companions were human beings, and we don't follow them in those mistakes that they made, and they made different mistakes. May Allah be pleased with them. Although they made those mistakes, Allah will say He's still pleased with them. And the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam died, and He was pleased with them, and they're going to be with Him in the Jannah. All of them are going to be with Him in the Jannah. Nobody else can say that about Him. But the point here is, me saying that, I better be able to produce someone who said similar to it. I can't be the only one who's saying that. If I'm the only one who's saying that, from my own ijtihad and my own understanding, that's dangerous. That's the meaning of what Imam Ahmed was saying. Don't be a person based upon your own understanding of the religion. You say something that you really think it makes sense. You can get it around it. You better have scholars who are bona fide who preceded you to that statement. And that starts with the companions of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. From those proofs as well, Ikhwani, and they are many, is that the companions of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam heard the Prophet tell them, and he told us after, you people should take my sunnah and the sunnah of the rightly guided khulafa. Take my sunnah. His sunnah and their sunnah is one and the same. So when Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, when he did the thing with the salat of a tarawih, nobody had a problem with that. Because his sunnah is always going to be what the Prophet did. He's going to take from the Quran and what he saw from the sunnah, and they're going to do things like that. Abu Bakr and Umar, when they decided to bring that Quran together and to put it in the Mus'haf, they told one of the companions, Zayd ibn Thabit, they said, we want you to bring this Quran together, make it into a book. He was young. He said, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing anything that the Prophet didn't tell us to do. Rasulullah didn't do that. I'm not doing it. And he said that to Abu Bakr and Umar. Abu Bakr and Umar started proving to him, reading ayat, telling him ahadith. Allah mentioned those ayat, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابِ, that is a book. Why would Allah call it a book? They say Rasulullah said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, none of you should travel to the land of the enemy with the Mus'haf. There was no Mus'haf. None of you should travel with the Mus'haf to the land of the enemy. Why not, Waleed? Why shouldn't you travel to the land of the enemy with the Mus'haf? Farouzan. Yeah, they can disrespect it. So the meaning of the hadith is never put the Mus'haf in a position of being disrespected. That's the meaning of the hadith. But the point here is, he mentioned Mus'haf. He mentioned that, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So they told him these things. And then he said, yes, yes. He became convinced. And then he embarked upon bringing the Quran together. And we have it right now. No one in his right mind is going to say that is an innovation. Although the Nabi of Islam, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, didn't tell people to do that, from his words and from the Quran and from the fiqh of that, you get that understanding. So that's the point. Take my sunnah and the sunnah of the rightly guided khulafa. Now, there are many other things I can mention. I want to end with this one issue. Anas ibn Malik was one of the great scholars of Islam. And not only Anas, there's just too many examples. He said to those people, because from the proof says, the best generation is my generation, the generation that I was sent to. Then the one that comes after, then one, that's another proof. But listen to what Anas ibn Malik said. He said to those tabi'een who were following the companions, he said to them, you people are falling into sins and you're doing things that in your eyes, they are smaller and more insignificant than a piece of hair. During the time of Rasulullah, when he was with us, we used to consider what you're doing, these things that you look at, it's just a piece of hair. Oh, it's just a fly. He said, we used to look at that time, during his time, we looked at that as being something that was from the things that would destroy you. So it goes to show that their time and their level. They said, during the time of Rasulullah, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we companions. We used to say Abu Bakr was the best. And then after Abu Bakr, we said Umar was the best. And then after Umar, we would say Uthman was the best. And then we were quiet. And then we were quiet. We remained quiet. When Ali told them this hadith, Ali's son said, what about you, Dad? Abi, did they mention you? He said, I'm just a man from the Muslims. Right? He didn't want to big himself up, although their proofs to clearly show Ali is the prophet. The point that I'm making with that is, the time of the companions is the golden years of Islam. The hadith said to the companions, you companions are living in the time where the ulama are many and the people give the khutbah are few. Whoever abandons a tenth of his religion, he leaves off a tenth of his religion, he'll be destroyed. He said there's going to come a time when and where the khatibs will be many and the ulama will be few. Whoever holds on to a tenth of his religion at that time, he holds on to a tenth, then he's going to be guided aright, he's going to be saved. So in concluding, as we get ready for the adhan for Isha, this fundamental point, this first point, practicing Al-Islam and following Al-Islam the way the companions did, it will help us to navigate Ikhwani with all of the tests, all of the trials, all of the tribulations that come our way. Everything that comes our way, because we won't have to reinvent the wheel. Everything that we have to face, they had similar to it. So all we have to do is look back there and we see that's how they dealt with it. Those were the ayat that were revealed in it, and then we act accordingly. تفضل يا من الذي أذن المغرب وصلى كذلك. الله شبعنا 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 Oh. The last thing I want to mention, Ikhwani, and I think is really important, is when uh, the book Usul Sunnah, before in the time of the companions, they didn't use the word Sunnah in that way to mean Aqidah. The next generation, they didn't use the book Sunnah. They didn't use the word Sunnah that way. It was during the third generation when all of these groups and foreign ideas started to present themselves that the scholars of the Sunnah started coming up with these kinds of books. And they started to use the word Sunnah in order to mean Aqidah because of what people were saying from the different groups of that time. They should know that. There was no Sunnah to the companions. They thought and understood that meant Aqidah or Minhaj. They didn't have it. Second generation, they didn't have it. It was the third generation Muslims when these different groups from the Khawarij and all these people, and then we started seeing these books and these statements, Ahl Sunnah. They started saying Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah because they were the people who were not on the Sunnah and they were not trying to be a part of the Muslims. So in concluding and bringing the point home about this issue about the companions, one of the groups that presented itself was the Khawarij, terrible group. They're still here today. Cause a lot of problems today, till today, in the Muslim world. And in Europe, in America. They have problems. Beware, beware. They're here. When they sprouted their heads up and they started fighting the companions, they said the companions are non-Muslims. And they started fighting. Ali ibn Abi Talib was the leader of the Muslims. And he is who he is. He had his cousin Abdullah ibn Abbas. And he said to Abdullah ibn Abbas to Ali, let me go and talk to these people. They're innovators. They're innovators. And they're making takfir of the companions. So people of the Sunnah have to have some common sense about how we understand these things that those Salaf were upon. You never sit with the innovators? What are you talking about? Your interpretation of that is wrong. It's a Hizbi interpretation. It's a destructive interpretation. It depends on the situation. Abdullah ibn Abbas said, let me go talk to him, to these innovators. He said, no, cousin of Rasulullah, I'm afraid for you. These people are a problem. He said, don't worry. He went to him, he started to debate him. The very first thing he said, and this is the point I want to make, he said to them, what is the problem that you people have? What is the problem that you people have with the Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ali ibn Abi Talib, the cousin of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the husband of his daughter, and the one who all of the companions are with him, and none of them are with you. None of them. Not one of them is with you. Look, what is the issue? What's the problem? You guys are fighting against him. He's the cousin. Okay, no problem. He married his daughter. That's something important. Rasulullah died and he was pleased with him. And all of the companions are with him. And not one of them is with you. Not one. Those people, when they heard that, that jolted them. The ones who had sincerity. There's no way in the world you can be on the truth, and this is the situation. The companions are there. Those ones who had sincerity, their hearts and minds begin to open because that was a strong point that we don't have any of the companions with us. We're saying that they're not Muslims. And then he went on and he listened to what their issues were. And he dealt with each one of those issues, showing them you're straight, all of it. But that point is the point I want to make. The companions are not with you. If the companions are not with you and not doing what you're doing and saying what you're in trouble. And that's what we always say. And anybody who hears my voice, especially from young people, you're in a university, any group, I don't care, man. I don't care the personality. There's the principle that will divinely protect you. What did the companions? Did they say that? Did they support that? Did the companions can you show me that they did that thing? If the person can't show you that, then be careful and beware. It's a dangerous situation. Be careful and beware. All right, we're gonna stop here. Funny. You brothers have any questions, inshallah? Oh, we gotta pray now, right? What time is it? Come. We have 1 minute. Hey, are you the brothers I saw in Tampa? Thought so, man. As soon as I saw you coming in the door. What are you doing in casino? Okay, inshallah. Where we're at too. Something that. Just go to the internet and put Abu Hamza as-Sukkari. Abu Hamza as-Sukkari from the ulama of hadith, from the Salaf. And that was his interpretation. Abu Hamza as-Sukkari. Any more questions, Akhwani? All right then. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك وأشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم. Good to have you, brothers. How long did it take you to get here? Hour and a half. There was a lot of traffic on I-4. I met these two brothers at that program in Tampa. The Masjid was packed out with shabab like them. I was impressed. I was really impressed with the activity of that young brother who's giving dawah to these brothers over here. Ain't more, wallahi.